You guys ready? You guys?
All right.
All right, I believe you this time.
Gonna have to place these players into the first match. It is going to be a random map. Let's see what they get. Looks like our first matchup of the day is going to be on, if this is the players are going to be in this arena, it's going to be on the Grand Arena.
Our favorite because it is extremely balanced, like we talk about.
What a way to start a Blizzcon tournament with the original arena map.
It's the best way to start, in my opinion. So 2011 Blizzcon, the World of Warcraft Global Finals are about to take place. Are you guys pumped? I mean, I really need to hear you. Are you guys excited? All right. Do we have any Team Roccat fans? Okay, well, maybe you could cheer a little bit. I'd appreciate it. How about Skill Cap? Do we have any North American Skill Cap fans? All right, reasonable.
All right, so it is going to be the first round. Let me give you a quick rundown of this UI. Team names are going to be in the top corners. The numbers that you see that are both zeros are going to be how many points each team has during these matches. And then we have the life bars of every player. And you're going to start to see these buffs and debuffs show up right below all the unit frames. Of course, we are going to have their trinkets that you guys can keep track of, and then their racial ability also.
Yep. That's going to be very important. You see, Toes running Tauren Paladin. I like that. We saw War Stomp used to extreme effect at the regionals, and that might be something that the Taiwanese players are not expecting, is the use of that War Stomp into Hal, which we saw break up quite a few kill opportunities for their opponents.
All right, so the game is going to start. We're going to be following Gucci out of the beginning because Death Knight, like we said, it's going to be the one player on the team of Team Roccat that's going to be able to change many things. All right, we do have a sap onto the Paladin of Toes. And it looks like the teams are going to get ready very quickly. Roccat already using his Divine Protection right away to get a sprint off.
Yeah, and he's actually caught into a poly right now. You see Stolen Kiss got onto Snuts real early after that sap on Toes. So it looks like training the Warlock, that's definitely the right strategy. If they can keep him from rolling out dots, they'll at least be able to stay alive 2 to 3 minutes into this match and maybe wear down the MLS as a mana.
And look at this, they're going on Pooks really hard. They know if they can force him to bubble, he's going to be a good kill after. But look at the quick switch onto Toes. Man, this team from Taiwan is putting out so much damage.
That's what I was talking about earlier. You know, it could really go either way if they exploit the weaknesses of the mage, which we're doing here just a second ago. You see him pumping out those polymorphs, just disrupting all that damage. Toes in wings right now, taking quite a bit of damage. Just going to pick himself up with a few flashes right in the face of Gucci, who's unable to get out of that Nova and do anything about it. Oh, a beautiful, looks like a hammer into a Howl on Prankcat, and he is just kind of wandering out into the middle there. That could be a good setup positioning for them. Actually, he gets passed right back behind the pillar. Snuts eating up line. Both these teams even distribution there, but Gucci out of cooldown, grits Toes in, it looks like, to stop some of that damage. They get him into a kidney. Gucci's sitting in AMS right now, getting back into about half. Prankcat doing work, trying to get him back into not fall over dead instantly range.
Yeah, now
when it comes to Shatter.
The situation right here that's going on is Toes already used his bubble when he was focused before, and a Paladin without a bubble is definitely a viable target. You see him doing a great job of remembering the little things such as CCing that the pets on the other team, especially that Death Knight one. But the team of Skill Cap is going to be focusing on Stolen Kiss, and look at that, a huge burst of damage. He is in a deep freeze with a fear onto Prankcat right there.
Yeah, and he's got Clay. He's got no cloak for a full minute. Down to 25k HP. There's an Imp CS on Prankcat, and that should be him ticking down. Wow, 1k health gets brought back up barely. Prankcat just doing all sorts of work. Stolen Kiss brought back up as they kite around. Gucci getting feared out, but not before he's able to peel for his teammates there just a little bit of the time when he's not out of this yet. And there is the step and dance on Toes without his bubble. They know they've got to go hard on Imp Garrett, and he does get back out of that, freedoms himself to try to get across the arena. And Snuts rolling out dots onto Stolen Kiss, just going to get back on him as he fears the rogue off of Pooks. And that will give Pooks an opportunity to throw around some polys. Prankcat caught into a short poly. Pooks silenced, but he's got big damage up. He's got Brain Freeze and Fingers, and he's going to put that to work on Gucci, who spikes with rolling dots. Prankcat doing work in the middle still, but honestly, he's a little wide open.
All right, now here we go. We are going to have a HOJ onto Stolen Kiss right there. Prankcat doing a good job right now. He does have his trinket up, and he knows the game's going to go late. You see him use that Divine Plea right there, but Stolen Kiss still sitting at a half right there, trying to use that pillar for line of sight. But the team of Skill Cap knows that you can't let a rogue re-stealth. But look at the damage onto Gucci also right now.
Yeah, Gucci's been spiking up and down this entire match. He's got freedom and AMS on. Gets back out. Here's some spell skills flying out of Poots there as he pops that Evocate to get the mana back in a grip on his Evocate. Is going to starve him from mana there for just a second. Only sitting at about, I'd say about 1/3 of his max mana, a little closer to half. and the pressure on the mage is going to be important for them. You see Gucci sticking to him, throwing out some death coils there, just trying to put the pressure out on him, making him use his cooldowns defensively. I haven't seen a block out of Pooch yet, and that would be a really good thing to force him, especially to get out of line of sight.
Oh, look at that here with the ring. Oh, that's not going to be good for Roccat. He uses his trinket right there, and Paladin being a viable target to train, it looks like they are going to be choosing to go on the Roto in this matchup.
Yep, and I believe he's got Cloak back up. He has not used it here recently. He didn't use it offensively, so it'll be good to see him hang on to that. It could give them a really good opportunity to take out Toes here just a little bit longer this match. And that was a trinket, stolen trinketing deep freeze into H.J. as Prankcat gets Poly, but the damage just isn't there. And a blanket, MCS into a blanketed Poly, maybe a little bit too soon on that, but it could be enough to score a kill. Prankcat out of CC though, able to get Stolen Kiss back up just barely as Toes eats a Strangulate, and they're going to try to put some pressure out on the nearly Pooks. That was a big deal that they interrupted his Evocade earlier.
It definitely was, because he needs mana to do anything as a mage. I mean, he's going to have his gems, of course, being able to get mana back here and there. And we see a bomb coming out. Looks like they're going to go on Toes again. It seems like the strategy that Team Roccat is going to be using.
Yep, and it's the smart strategy for sure. He starts to cast there. You see that grip interrupt. Stolen Kiss out of CC now.
Oh, and look at Gucci Low getting so low with that blanket counter spell on top of him, barely getting out of that. And the Icebound Fortitude up 10,000 hit points, and he is going to go down. Players are going to keep playing out the match, though, because, you can still come back from 2 threes in World of Warcraft Arena.
Yep, it's very possible. I mean, Rogue could get some damage out on Toes and lock it down, but there's just so much CC coming out of the Mage and Warlock. It's probably going to be pretty difficult here, especially on the Grand. It would take some pretty major positioning mistakes by Skillcat to just flat lose this. And that deep freeze on the Prankcat is what did it. They finally caught him without cooldowns and just popped him into a 5-second deep freeze. And that's pretty much all they needed to close the gap on Gucci with no AMS.
And look at that. Paladin is going to die with this onslaught of damage right at the end. He's going to play it all the way out, though. Good manners right there. All right.
Look at the damage.
So that means Skillcap going to take the first round. Of course, these are best of threes, which means one more Skillcap takes it, or Team Roccat needs to come back. And I liked the amount of pressure that Team Roccat was putting out onto Toes.
Yeah, like I was saying going into this match, that melee cleave has a good opportunity to kill anyone on the team as long as their positioning is perfect. And maybe they caught a few unlucky fear pathings. I saw Prankcat get feared behind a pillar once or twice where he was missing a second of healing, and it took more work to get Stolen Kiss and Gucci back into it. And then again, Stolen Kiss was out of the fight for a good 6 or 7 seconds just trying to run with no Shadow Step up. And that's a big deal. They could have converted that into a kill on Toes with better timing, better positioning. So we'll see if they take that into account going into the next match. And they got on Snuts early to mitigate his damage, and then failed to mitigate his damage because he pumped out 1 mil, 500,000. And that will definitely do you in when all you've got is a Paladin healer who is eventually going to be caught into CC.
Of course, and that is the one big vulnerability of Paladins right now. Of course, they might not have to cast as much as they used to. Big shift in the game of Holy Paladins. I actually picked Holy Paladin up as my main in Cataclysm. Loving it, because I can just run around and cast instants constantly.
Yeah, I mean, they're so viable because of that mobility. And mobility is a huge, huge deal in Arena, as you well know. So we'll see how they play differently. Let's see if we get into a different matchup here. Negran was a little spread out for them.
And it is going to be a different map this time around, of course. Runes of Lordaeron.
Oh.
One of the maps they added mid-expansion. It was nice to see. Normally these arena maps pop up. Of course, we had the originals first, and then Blade's Edge. And that was, it was in Burning Crusade. And then we got a nice treat with another map, Runes of Lordaeron. It's changed a bit, though. This map used to have a lot larger area in the center, in the starting area, rather. And so there was a lot of strategies where a team would sit way back and use the sides of the entry area to their advantage. And, that kind of passive play sometimes isn't the most exciting to watch. So what they did was chop the sides off. And so if you're going to be in that starting area, you're pretty much in LOS nonstop.
Yeah, exactly. There's only a very, very small area where you could sit down and drink without getting hit by a 40-yard spell. But, any AoE spell is going to bring you out of it, and any pet interaction is going to put you into combat. So they definitely fixed a lot of the problems, but it's still possible to use the starting area. It's just not as viable of a strategy, and more often than not, it gets you murdered.
All right. Okay, it looks like we are going to have to re-queue these guys, of course. We'll jump out of this arena in just a moment.
Looks like they're missing Pooks there in that lineup.
Yeah, and now it's 1v3.
Oh, no.
And there it is. All right. So there we go. All right, we're going to get back into the game, though. It looks like Pooks may have not made it quite into the arena. Yeah. And you need 3 players.
Might have been changing something.
All right, here we go. Oh. And so we're going to put them right back in once the players are ready.
And I don't think they'll make any changes. Do you think Team Roccat is looking to make any changes?
Just strategy-wise. Yeah, just strategy-wise, because the team skill capped really chose many different targets to go on during that fight, except for the Paladin. Yeah,
I think Roccat, they put a lot of damage out on all 3, and their focus on Toes at the end probably would have been better saved for an opportunity where you had the Mage in a block, or the Warlock has to portal because he's at 20k. You know, not just get on the Paladin because it's the Paladin and maybe we can kill him. So I think they need to put more pressure on the casters before they go on Toes if that's their primary target.
And the RNG gods smiled on us. They put him right back into Runes of Lordaeron. Look at that.
I like it.
All right, so these players are getting ready. 1-0. This means Team Roccat has to win this match to stay, to grab these points. Of course, we were talking that when all these wins are going to be so important towards the end of the round, because these teams, once they get done with this round robin, it's not over. We're not just taking the people with the best, the best ratio at that point. They're going to be playing in a little single elimination bracket.
Exactly, it's point-based, so the winner of a best of 3 in round robin will gain 3 tournament points, and the loser will receive 0. And we have a similar draw system as we had last year.
And it would be 1 point?
Exactly, 1 point, 1 point. And that's actually, that translates into 1 tournament point, I believe, if it draws all the way through.
Yes. And I honestly do not see this happening. I mean, that match did last. Yeah, that match did last a little while, but don't believe it hit 15 minutes at all.
A little while. Compared to last year, I didn't even realize we were actually watching a real game.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to follow Snuts out of the gate this time to see just how well he can manage to get all these unstable afflictions all over the enemy team, because that's going to be the name of his game. Pooks, of course, is going to start the match out in Viz, a great idea. Not going to be able to be targeted right away, as he's going to try to find his target. Of course, it is going to be Gucci, and look at the damage that Gucci is taking already.
Wow,
with
already
a great...
IBF'd? Yeah, an Icy-bound Fortitude for Gucci. There's a double Howl into a poly. Absolutely silly, like we were talking about. The synergy between Ring and Howl really showing for the MLS. A lot of spells, well, a few spell steals coming out from him, trying to get Stolen Kisses buff for some reason. Pooks with damage up. Gonna put out another poly onto maybe Prankat. Actually, no, it looks like they're going on to Pooks now. Stolen Kiss vanishing to get back on the Snuts. Yes, target swap over to Snuts with an Imp Garrett. He gets deep. And just look at the coordination of that team. Stolen Kiss had not swapped targets for more than 1.5 seconds. And Pooks deeps in while under pressure himself. And that all comes down to saving those Fingers of Frost procs, saving your Pet Nova for little things like that. And Toes playing that Paladin here, by the way, giving him freedom on those casters is a big deal, especially against DK Rogue, who both have pretty serious slows, which can cripple a caster.
And look at Snuts right now hurting a bunch, and he's going to have to portal away because his Paladin was HO Jade. I like that crowd control that the team of Roccat is throwing out at the right time. Of course, that means Pooks is going to be a great target to go on, but every time that Shadow Step is up, he can choose what target he wants to go on.
And I see Team Roccat doing the exact right thing. They're just almost in the right position, too. They need to work on getting Toes excluded from the fight much further than 20 yards. He needs to be completely out of this fight if they're going to get a kill on Pooks and Snuts, who both have a lot of escape mechanics.
All right, one of the things earlier in this match, though, that was pretty big. Oh, actually, look at Pooks taking a bunch of damage right now. If they can force a block out of him, it would put them in a great situation since Prankat survived that big offensive push. They were trying to get him to bubble at that point.
Yeah, but Toes got that freedom off before he was strangled. And there's a block on Stolen Kiss's kidney, so there's the first block out of Pooks. And Toes, sitting pretty, has nothing to worry about. Standing here just sort of healing in the face of everybody, while Team Roccat is running around frantically trying to get back on their targets and mitigate some of this damage coming out of Snuts. There's really no dots up here on Team Roccat, and they want to keep it that way. Stolen Kiss, he's got Dance up now, but he's howled off the tomb. And this is what I'm talking about. This is the pathing they need. Stolen Kiss howled almost out to the goo. And now he'll be able to come back over, but he missed so much uptime on Snuts, and that allowed him to roll out damage. Gucci caught into a Hodge, and Snuts into a Kidney now. We'll see if he's going to go for that dance. If Stolen Kiss is going to try to burst him there. I believe that Shadow Dance up right now. Yep, he's pumping out damage on Snuts, but you see, it's just not enough because Toes is not controlled.
All right, so Gucci is managing to stay alive through all this offensive pressure, even though they're putting tons of crowd control onto Prankat. But Prankat using every tool possible. You know, we saw him already burn through his aura mastery, you know, his hand of sacrifice, so many ways of getting himself out of crowd control. That zone's gonna pop. There we go, right there. Now Gucci's still taking
gone.
so much damage onto him. You know it's serious when that thing gets dispelled or gets removed instantly.
That's gonna worry the Taiwanese team. Just in the AMZ's up. Never mind. Yeah, that means that Snuts has got a lot of uptime, like I talked about on that too. Pooks has been the one they've been focusing the most, and I like him running that hybrid spec. He's got blazing speed proc, combine that with freedom. He has so much escape when it comes to getting away from this DK and Rogue. Yeah, and that's all they're doing, just running around kiting.
I mean, you look at Pooks, he's been doing a lot of very risky moves, such as casting right in the face, and there we go. He knows he has to get every little bit of mana from that Evocate as possible. Wow, he's taking a ton of damage, and CC on it. Wow. Yeah, okay, so this is what you need to watch for at home. When they use 2 defensive cooldowns at the same time like that, such as Block and Blessing of Protection, or Hand of Protection rather, it can spell defeat towards the end. Now this is a big thing, the crowd control I wanted to mention earlier is going to be mitigated by Prankat because you see him have that Unholy Frenzy up because it's going to damage him constantly.
Yep, and you know what, they just need to stay on Pooks. Team Roccat knows that Pooks is the only
but look at the damage onto Gucci right now as Prankat is not able to pick him up quite too much. That Aura Mastery is going to come out because he has to get those heals off at that point.
Yeah, you know, and Gucci has stuck to Pooks for such a long time now. I feel like maybe if they could just get dots off Pooks and throw a blind on him because he's going to have to use the trinket that he doesn't have, meaning he'll be stuck in a full blind. They could swap to Toes or Snuts, but they're just not doing it. Gucci is tunnel visioning on this mage. Very, very afraid that they're going to catch more shatters and more polys than they can handle.
And here they go on to Prankat right now. See how he can handle it.
Ooh, deep to coil. And Prankat taking terrible damage, and he just falls over. Beautiful deep freeze to death coil. Overlapped at the 0.2 second mark, about as efficient as you can get.
Yeah, and that's what you need to do as this team. When you have great communication while you're playing Arena, it allows you to layer that crowd control. And the difference between a team that does that and doesn't, well, it's about like a 1,200 and a 2,000. You know?
Exactly, yeah. No contest, really. And this is what I was talking about. The MLS has that big range advantage, and the kiting. Pooks getting all that freedom from Toes and having blazing speed procs really did make all the difference. He was in trouble quite a bit. Went through 2 ice blocks, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with mages, but that's about all the ice blocks you're going to get unless that match goes longer than 10 minutes.